What is up, everybody? It is I, Ronin, coming at you, evaluating this new ban list. I already took a look at it, so I know what's on it. I know the big news. So this is more or less going to be my sort of thoughts on it. So we got today. Looks like in a week is when it will come into effect. So got a little bit of time to figure stuff out because there's some game-changing stuff on here, I think. So, first off, the two big news items. We got Astrograph Sorcerer and Masterpiece. They're just gone now. So, Astrograph Sorcerer being gone, I think that seriously weakens Pendulum Magicians and Pendulum decks in general some more. But I don't think it's as bad as people think because the fact is, there's only like two or three Pendulum decks that really use Astrograph as like a major part of their strategy, like Odd Eyes and Pendulum Magicians, I think, are like the main ones. So those decks will be affected, those decks will be weakened, but I have a feeling other Pendulum decks will just sort of they will learn to live, I feel like. They can adapt. Pendulum is a very powerful mechanic just on its own, so I think overall they're gonna be fine. So now Masterpiece. I want to make something clear. Masterpiece being gone does not mean True Draco is dead. It is not dead, especially based on the rest of this list. So it certainly weakens the deck, but I still believe they can make scary plays without Masterpiece. And Masterpiece just kind of had it coming, I think. He's just he really is just too good. He's not impossible to play around. If I had made the list, well, I wouldn't be making the list, but if I had any say of it, I would say he probably should have been limited because having a big boss monster like that isn't necessarily a problem because it can be played around. Having two free copies of that boss monster, though, that are easy to just get out again, that is a problem. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that pretty much. Oh, sorry, burped a little bit. Alright, so next we have Phyrexian Cluster Amaryllis. This is just a preemptive thing because if you're not aware, that Aroma Mages have a new Link monster that destroys something to summon another plant. If I recall, it is not a hard once per turn, so I mean, there was a mean plant FTK because whenever Phyrexian Cluster blows up, it deals your opponent 800 damage and then it can resummon itself. So it's just like it was a very mean FTK, so they're just nipping this in the bud, as it were. And I think that's fine. I really do. Like, it shows Aroma Mages are possibly getting a Link monster soon. I am a fan of Aroma Mages personally. And just, it's good. It's a good thing, I think. So, but moving on, we have Supreme King Starving Venom, and yes, Starving Venom had it coming. He was a big part of the Pendulum Edition FTK. If I know the combo right, he was actually the guy that did the FTK effect damage. And not to mention, he's just in general a powerful card that only Pendulum decks that feature Dark Pendulum monsters can play because he copies any effect on the field, deals piercing damage, so it's just like it's ridiculous how strong this card was, and I think it will actually improve the game to have him gone. And then we also have Ancient Fairy Dragon. Ancient Fairy Dragon's just a nice little play extender. It's used a lot in field spell heavy decks. I've seen it in True Dracos a solid bit, so having that hit, like, I mean, it makes sense, I think. It just makes sense. Just shutting down plays earlier. That's really all it is. And I'm personally fine with that. So now we have the spells. We have Rank Up Magic Argent Chaos Force, which confuses me because I was not aware Rank Up Magic Argent Chaos Force was making any sort of waves, but like I mean, I don't follow the meta game super heavily outside of like what decks are considered super meta. So you know what? Someone in the comments, let me know if Rank Up Magic Argent Chaos Force has been making some waves because If it has, I want to know how. I really do. And now, what I think the biggest change of this list is, and the thing that's going to affect the game the most, is that grass looks greener is banned. Now, that grass looks greener, as most people know, is ridiculous. Like in a 60 card deck against like the 40 card decks, it's a staple just because those decks play mostly out of their graveyard, and it's just like, hey, I have a huge graveyard, here is all my plays, I can Fairy Tale Snow infinitely, I probably got a wolf in there, so I can summon that. It made the game ridiculous, it made 60 card decks ridiculous, and honestly, I think the game is just going to be better now. Like, I feel like more creativity outside of spamming from the graveyard is going to result from this. And I am personally very excited to see what happens just with these 60 card decks like considerably nerfed. So yeah, that's the new ban stuff, but you know what? Let's keep going on. So we have Dynamite, the true Drago fighter, very powerful card. If you control a tribute summon monster and your opponent activates the effect, you can just activate continuous trap from your deck. It's really good, and this is why I say that even though True Draco's lost masterpiece, they're still a force to be reckoned with. Because you know they have, ooh, sorry about that. They have this guy back, and sorry, not sure what's going on with me today, but this card's a force to be reckoned with. It's a very scary card, and because he is back, I still believe that True Dracos are a very scary, very powerful deck. Less powerful, but very scary, still solid. So we also got Gem Knight, Master Diamond, limited. They really just, it feels like they really tried hard to hit the super hot FTKs because Gem Knight Master Diamond was also a very important part of the Gem Knight Lapis Lazuli FTK because he could just copy Lazuli's effect from the graveyard when you summon him and just deal all the damage. That's how the FTK kind of ended with Gem Knight Master Diamond usually. So limited, I don't know why they didn't hit this one as hard. Maybe because it's not as popular or easy as an OTK to pull off. But like or sorry, FTK. I think he said OTK. Ooh, all right. But I mean, it's definitely. I think it's a step in the right direction. I'll say that much. Step in the right direction. So now in the spells, we also have Changestrike, and I don't know much about Chain Burn, so if someone could explain to me why this is being limited, like, I mean, someone explain that to me because I don't know enough about Chain Burn to really give any sort of input on that. So, comments down below, someone explain it to me. I am curious. Now we have the semi-limited list. We have Towers back at 2. That's pretty cool. I mean, go Fort, like, yay. And then we also have Ring of Destruction, which is a pretty neat card. Not that powerful anymore because it was, rotted, but it's still a good card. I'm glad to see it back to 2. I think I might try to run some decks with it. It's just a neat card. So now we go to the unlimited. We have one of my personal favorite cards here, Atlantean Dragoons. I love this card. I think it's very cool. Now that it's back at free, I'm probably going to try to make some decks with it because I don't know. I just really love this card, and I'm excited that it's back. Like I can finally build some cool decks with it. Like I feel more confident like that I could consistently have it. So I'm really excited. We also have Grand Soil, the Elemental Lord. Pretty cool if it coming back with, Element Sabers in the mix. So, they got a cool thing again. They can do some more stuff. We have Ignis Heat, which is another reason that I'm saying True Dracos are still a threat because Ignis Heat is also one of those just insane cards. You know, it searches stuff. It's really, or is it foolish or is it search? I can't remember. I remember it does something very powerful though. Actually, let me look that up real fast. Oh, so yeah, there's an update. I follow Hard like Joe. I like him a lot. So Ignis Heat, the True Draco Warrior. Dang, I hit the TCG thing again. Oh, 75 cents. That's wow. Okay, so he has the regular effect of you contribute a continuous spell trap instead of a monster. And once per turn, during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card effect while you control this tribute summon monster, you can take one True Draco or True King continuous spell from your deck, activate it, or add it to your hand. So yeah, I was right. It was a searcher. But you know, you could do some pretty insane stuff because you could get out like just all the good cards if you have Dynamite and Ignis on the field. So, you know, True Draco's still doing some stuff, still doing scary plays, I think, so far from a dead deck. We got Mathematician, and I feel like he was more brought off the list because no one uses Mathematician really anymore. We also have Neospatian Grand Mole, and I have a feeling he was taken off the list for the same reason as Mathematician, maybe a little bit less than Mathematician though, just because you know they're power crap. They're not that good anymore. Like Grand Mole, I would still say is a little bit viable in like a rogue deck kind of table 500 situation, but like him being off the list, I don't think is going to be game changing much. And compulsory evacuation device, I think that could make some waves. I really do, because it's a very good card. It's very powerful. Just bounce something back to hand. That's you know, for a lot of cards that just can't be destroyed by like battle or card effects and stuff, I think that's a very good thing to have an out for. Definitely not a main deck thing outside of like UAs maybe, but like still a very good card I think, and I think it can make some waves. So just in review, Pendulum Magicians hit, or pendulums in general, actually, I'll say that much, hit even harder. Uh, True Dracos weakened, but you know, far from dead. I think Phyrexian Cluster Amaryllis. I see why they did it, just for the future. Shutting down some FTKs and play extension with Supreme King Starving Venom, Ancient Fairy, as well as Gem Knight Master Diamond. Uh, but I think the biggest game changer that's going to occur is grass being limited, because there's a lot of 60 card decks out there that kind of run as with grass as their main thing. Well, a lot of them don't necessarily need grass. It still makes them much more powerful than they, you know, rightfully should be, I feel like, if that's the right way to describe it. But, you know, I think it's going to be for the better for the game just in general, because it's like these decks are these like 60 card clown thousand blade like fairy tale Luna kind of turbo decks are like gonna be, or no, fairy tale snow, sorry, not fairy tale Luna, fairy tale snow. My head's all over the place right now, but I don't know, I think it's gonna be good for the game. So, you know, as I said earlier, looks like we have a week before this list goes into effect, so I don't know, some exciting stuff. I think it's a very good list. Very few changes, but very impactful changes. So let me know what you guys think of this list. I'm personally very happy about it. Uh, but you know, I understand a lot of people probably won't be. So is there any cards that should have been banned? Any cards that should have been unbanned? Any cards that's just like should be placed somewhere else on the list, pretty much. You know, everyone's got those opinions. I want to know yours. Like, comment, subscribe. This has been Ronin, signing off.